What is up, guys? Welcome to another Etheria restart video. Today, I want to talk about BATSBY, how to build him, the skill priorities. And I gotta say it, I was a bit disappointed initially with me investing in the character because it felt like he was underperforming, at least in Aurora. But it's all about the team, it's all about the gear that you have on him. And truth be told, I got to actually love him. And I think he's really, really powerful, especially when you're going versus the red affinity. Before we dive into that, I just want to give a massive shout out to Etheria Restart for sponsoring today's video. If you guys want to try out the game, click on the link in the description down below. We have the 2x at the moment, guys, and I am farming lots of Aurora. I'm farming lots of Doki Doki, and I am using BATSBY for Aurora. Now, even though my BATSBY is not at the level where he can just quickly one-tap the boss or anything like that, he's still getting the job done. The team is extremely consistent, as you guys can probably notice. 10 out of 10. The average time for it is at around 55 seconds. Sometimes we're getting 40 seconds with the team, but that doesn't occur very often, right? I'm gonna go through filtering all of this gear, cleansing it and stuff later on, but let's quickly talk about BATSBY. Yes, the banner is not around anymore, but probably a lot of you guys picked him in the past, right? Honestly, straight off the back, he seemed like a pretty good unit. You have the chance to apply the wound with a basic skill, but he has this exclusive passive that makes him crazy good. If the target's affinity is countered by BATSBY and they are the main target of the skill, the damage dealt is increased to 30%, stacking up to 6 times. So that's absolutely massive. Now, in order to get to that part, you need to get to level 5 on the S1, okay? And this kind of like makes it a priority in terms of skilling the character up. With the S3, BATSBY unleashes whatever, dealing damage to all enemies, with a chance to inflict vulnerable for 2 turns. And for every 1 unit with crit landed, BATSBY gains 20% turn meter, which enables him to rotate much faster into the S2. Now, the next priority is the S3, of course, in terms of maxing it out. Especially if you're pairing him with a Tiger Yin, you really want to get this cooldown down to a 3-turn cooldown. At the moment, I don't have that on the character. Plume is taking all of my lattice at the moment, but my next 2 lattice, once I'm done with Plume, will go into this S3. The S2 being the least important thing as a priority, it is a pretty damn important one as well, because not only that you're going to increase the damage multipliers, decrease the cooldown, but you're going to have a much higher chance to extend the duration of debuffs, which can be extremely helpful. Now, this character is not only going to be good versus Aurora or different things like that, because if we have, for example, the Cage Rumble, which is not available at the moment, but I'm going to play him in different content as well, he's going to literally carry your entire team. Like if you're going versus Nico Nana, for example, he will be doing an insane job. Talking about build shell. The best shell, without a doubt, in my opinion, especially if you're trying to kind of like get to the one-shot type of strats, is going to be the Tiger Yin. Now, a lot of you might say, well, you know what, Scratch? We actually like to have, maybe you want to run a count on him. Count is good too, but the Tiger Yin is just better, or a Revelation, which is not necessarily the best thing. It's only 1 hit from his S3, right? But I do not have the most perfect Tiger Yin. I have Kenai and Harvest. Truth be told, I would prefer having a Fury and having a momentum on him instead, because you want to land as many debuffs as possible, right? And in order for him to really push crazy damage, you do need that, and the momentum will overall benefit him more than actually having a Kenai set, or more or less it's gonna be a pretty similar difference, right? Like you have the first hit 25% for a Kenai, and for momentum it can go up to what? I think it might go up to 30% in total if you have enough debuffs, if I'm not mistaken. But that would be my ideal build in terms of having the right shell effects matrix effects, right? But this is the build. I don't have full crit rate on him because we're going to go versus weak affinity, which will enable us to get to the 100% crit rate without a problem. We have 20k HP, 3.5k attack, 200 speed, 88 crit, and we have almost 300 crit damage. No effect accuracy at the moment, unfortunately. In terms of empowerment, prowess, we have literally nothing in here. The end goal for probably Krakens and stuff is definitely to get prowess 5, because this on its own will add a lot of additional damage. That being said, let's quickly dive into some different fights. So, for example, we're going to do a run in Aurora. Then we're going to try him out in the Phantom Theater. I actually pre-recorded that alone, and it's crazy to see that he carried to triple S on its own, which is pretty mental. I've pre-recorded the fight in the Dreamscape as well versus the legend red boss as well. And let's dive into an Aurora fight. So the team that I'm running for him is not necessarily the most ideal team either, okay? Because I'm not running a lot of debuffs to really push his damage to maximum. And that's mainly because I want to have a very consistent team rather than a team that can fail and have like 5-6 wins out of it. And this is doing it fast enough. It's not like I have 10 million stamina anyway, and by the end of the day, I will be out of stamina completely anyway from farming Doki Doki and Aurora. But I'm running Nymphonial to give him the increased attack, or running Lily for a double reset, because as I was saying, especially that I do not have the lattice into the S3 to max that the multipliers. I don't have it into the S2 either to come and sweep in. I do need a reset, so I'm going to run Lily. We're running Linglu, and we're running Plume. Now, if I would bring in a Heinrich in here next to that Plume, or even a Dyna to apply as many debuffs as possible, his damage will go up quite a bit. The only problem is that the team does not stay very consistent like that without Lily, and that's mainly because I don't have the lattice investment in him, and not necessarily the best gear sets, as I was saying at the beginning, and no prowess, okay? If you're seeing some crazy ones that get close to one shot, they are at prowess 5, right? So that makes quite a bit of a difference. But this is way more consistent than running Lilium, for example, in this team. And it shouldn't really make much of a difference, but trust me, it actually does quite a bit of a difference. So that was close to the 50% HP, not really there, but that, once again, more debuffs, the better. And right there, we almost got the boss down in 2 shots, right? And that's kind of like the end goal for me. Once I'm going to max that S3, it's going to be down in 2 shots. No more, no less. And now an S2 and GG's. So that was a 57 seconds. As you guys probably noticed, it is extremely consistent with what I was showing you before, right? Let me just quickly show you how he performs in different content. So let's go in the Phantom Theater. I got matched with a low-level player, which is fine. BATSBY is literally going to carry everybody in here. He's dealing enough damage to get maximum rewards. So think about this in a similar way like you would think about the Cage Rumble, right? If you're putting him versus the right boss, and in this case was just spot on in here, he's going to go absolutely freaking bananas. And as I was saying initially, I was a bit kind of like disappointed when I was testing him out after I invested some lattice in. I was like, oh no, he's just not really gonna pull it off. He's really not gonna get the job done as I wanted him to do it, right? Because we don't have that prowess investment in him and stuff like that. But either way, I'm looking forward to the next Cage Rumble, because now he's a bit more prepared for it. Previously, he was lacking a lot of lattice when we had the last Cage Rumble event, so I wasn't really able to get a lot out of him. But for example, even versus this boss, like being able to carry over 1000 on its own is Pretty damn crazy. I'm actually gonna scroll towards the end right here so you guys can see. Both of the other teams, even though they're still alive, like we have a team with Deering right there, which probably is just not necessarily performing that good. But this only has 355, right? And that is my Deering, actually. That is my Deering. He's not missing gear. He's on a pretty good build with a count. But he just doesn't compare. Maybe the rest of the team is just not benefiting him as much. I don't think he's having that increased attack right there to kind of like pushing crazy damage. But you can just see BATSBY literally doing well over 1 freaking thousand on this boss on its own. So he's literally carrying you to triple S. That's how freaking powerful he is once you invest in him and you're using him versus the right enemies, because that's the whole idea, to use him versus the right enemies and make the most out of that exclusive passive. Let me just quickly show you something else. So right here we were doing the hardest difficulty. I think was Inferno, if I'm not mistaken, or we might even have something more difficult in this content. I forgot the name. We have quite a few red enemies, so he's going to perform really, really well. I'm not even bringing a lot of control or anything like that. I'm just going in with healing. I have such a mess on the account right now, guys, with all of the freaking dungeons and stuff, just swapping gear around left and right. Half of my characters, I mean more than half of my characters, are with no gear whatsoever. I need to find a better system where I can actually keep the gear equipped on them and don't move it left and right all of the time. But that, of course, it does require me to have a lot of additional gear. And unfortunately, I missed the previous 2x events because I was traveling. But I made the most out of this one. So that should definitely give me quite a few good upgrades. Hopefully some on speed as well, because I'm feeling left behind like massively compared to other people in PvP. Like I'm still fairly fast on some of my characters, like 330, 340, but I'm getting outsped pretty much every single freaking time, which is pretty damn crazy. But the damage, as you guys can probably notice, on some of them is actually pretty good. We got a 44k hit right there, and now we're going in with the AoE. Unfortunately, I missed it because it was way too fast, but it dropped like 50% HP on some of the red units. And right there as well was a massive hit, especially on that Mia. So he is doing an amazing job when you're using him versus the red units. The more debuffs, the better, guys. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about BATSBY? Have you built him? Any regrets for building him? Are you using him? Are you satisfied with his performance overall in the game? Personally, as I was saying, even though I kind of like felt a bit meh about him at some point, that stage passed, and I'm actually really happy with the character overall, and I'll be even happier once I'm gonna max that S3. But that was all for this video, guys. Much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.